Delighted to be here today with Pete Moore. Many of you will know Pete off of Pain Toolkit. I often will open a podcast by saying I'm delighted to be here with, and I do always mean it. But Pete Moore is someone who's, mine and his paths have crossed over the years in great ways. And I remember the first time I met him, it really was one of those little celebrity moments. He really is the face of patient advocacy in our industry. And he was up at a service I was working in at the time, and we had a brilliant chat, which made me realise just how this is someone who gets it in various different ways. But one of them is that he's not complacent. He recognises that this advocacy needs to continue, and we need to keep reworking it, rebranding it, and reaching more and more people. And so I could tell back from then that we were allies on the same cause. It is therefore criminal that it's taken me that long to get him on the show. But here we are. Especially seems perfect that we've been doing this Patient Matters series, which is where we elicit deep and meaningful stories into people's pain, but also with patient advocates about how they ended up in that space. One of the things I wanted to tell you all is that, as is shown to me when we've just been chatting off air, me and Pete like to speak like Jack and Pete speak, which involves us just riffing and chatting and having a conversation, which therefore might mean that we do descend into some expletives, not on purpose, but that's just how Jack and Pete speak. So please don't be playing this out to cars full of children or what have you. But generally speaking, I just wanted to give that warning, because we're not going to edit this and we're not going to be bleeping out. But generally speaking, we're not doing it to be provocative. It's just that me and my mate Pete are going to have a chat about all things. All right. So without further ado, would you like to introduce yourself, Pete, before we get into the weeds on your story, mate?
Hello everyone, it's Pete Moore here, and first off and foremost, thanks very much, Jack, for inviting me along to do this podcast with you, and thanks for the great intro, mate. I might have to hire you in some way, like to be my professional what do they call it? Well, I suppose
announcer.
Yeah, my now. Yeah. Great. I mean, I think fair enough. I'm sitting back here thinking, oh, bloody, I don't know, really. But thanks for inviting me along, and I know you're gonna well, we're just gonna have a gentle chat and whatnot. But I just want to tell the listeners as well that I think the work that you're doing, Jack, is just awesome, mate. We met in Lichfield, I think. I don't know how many years ago that was.
4 or 5.
Yeah, how many years ago was
it's
that?
4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, and what you've done, Jackie, in that short period of time, dude, is outstanding, mate. Like you've done that, to put on an event. I put on events back in the day, like when I first kicked off, and I know the graft that is involved in, like the 3 hours that you've been doing. I know you've done another one recently and whatnot, and the organisation of it, mate, it's bloody tiresome, mate, but. And how you're moving the agenda forward in pain management land, mate. It's that, because that's what it needs. That needs that constant change, really. Push. I call it.
Yeah, no, fab. Well, thanks, mate. I really appreciate that. And I think what we've said about the format of this chat, to make sure that we cover some old ground and new, is to dive in with your background and your story and your pain journey. How that then overlapped into becoming a patient advocate, the Pain Toolkit, and then also some of the stuff you've started to touch on there, which is our shared goals and also style and methodology of how we instigate change and where we're up to now, So those are the sort of 3 loose chapters that I think we should explore. But the first of that then really is, could you let the listeners know a little overview of what your experience was with musculoskeletal pain?
Well, I think I'd experienced back pain even before I really got serious, perhaps in my late teenage years and stuff like that. But really, I suppose that I turned that corner was in the back end of 92. It might be 92, 93, I'm not sure now. I think it's about 92. And I'm not, as you know, people know I'm not a healthcare professional. My 2 main qualifications really is paint and decorating and drive instructing. And I was painting a house up over in Windsor, right opposite the castle. And this is where me and Rory have got a bit of a connection. Was it the same bloody day like the frigging Carlson went up in smoke?
Really?
And but look, that's why me and Rolty got a bit of a connection because by the way, I had nothing to do with that, the castle business. And but the next day, I couldn't get out of bed, and I found out, through examinations and whatnot over the following weeks, like I prolapsed 2 discs in my lower back and one in the middle. And that was in the early 90s, and I struggled really, like most other people. But like most other people, I was looking for everybody to fix me. But see, in the past, I'd learned that I'd take a few painkillers. It seems to sort itself out, or lower me back. It sort of goes, the pain goes, and off I go again. But this was, to me, I was just walking around like I just crapped myself, like,
Right.
Bent over and whatnot. So.
And what was being suggested to you at the time as being the issue then when you were seeing people? You said you were seeing folk and asking them if they could fix you. What was being suggested that was the issue?
Well, first off, like the GP, like, and so I got the usual stuff like anti-inflammatories and painkillers, and that was it. There was no what it is now, like about keeping moving, and the advice people get now. And back in the day, then it was just I'll take these anti-inflammatories and all this other stuff, and then when I started obviously going back to see him, well, these ain't working, and so then you're being sent places like physiotherapy, and the physiotherapists back in the day then is they used to go watch, I called it the rack traction, is it, or something?
Yeah.
And see, the thing is, the physios, I think that was under the cost so much. That was like seeing 3 people at a time, and they'd get you, put you on the traction machine, then go off and do something else to someone else, like, But they never very rarely talk to you. But the thing is, out of I think of 6 or 7 appointments I had, I would see a different physio all the time. I'd never see the same one. So the first sort of 5 or 10 minutes, I'd have to keep repeating what the hell was going on. Anyway, long story short, on that, I was given exercises to do, but that was all. There was too much of them. 10 of these, 15 of them, and that sort of stuff.
Right.
And when you got that, as I've learned, that subacute pain I had, you get up to sort of. You get up to 5 or 6, and the pain shoots up, and you're thinking, "Shit, I need this like I need another pair of earholes." Like, you stop, because you're thinking, back to exercise equaled pain.
Yeah.
So who the hell wants more pain?
Yeah. So you just think you're making things worse.
Yeah, but if that, I'm going to go on to it when I'm on a pain management program. But if they had said, right, do 5 of these today, 6 of them tomorrow, 7 the next day, like do a graded exercise or graded stretching and whatnot, I'm sure I would have stuck at it, but I didn't stick at it. I just to me, exercise equal pain, so I didn't bother doing it.
And so when we look back to that, then do you think that even the dictating of the numbers to you was something that was it was a recipe for recovery that they were inferring that you weren't really in control of, even though technically people perceive that exercise is an active strategy, because they were these exercises on these repetitions at this time of day, and then when you were doing them it hurt, then just again you weren't in control. Is that how you see it when you look back?
Yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, it's to give you stick men, stick men. I mean, how the hell can you see from a stick man? Yeah, I mean, I know people are going to be hearing this. People with long-term pain are hearing this. They're going to. I mean, you never had it so bloody good, like, because you can go on YouTube, watch how to do a certain stretch and exercise and whatnot. Whereas poor old sods like us back in the day, mate, back in the 90s, all we were given was stick men to watch, to follow.
Well, you'd be surprised how many stick men haven't been given their P45 yet, mate, in some physio clinics, I'm afraid. So Yeah, some might recognise that from yesteryear, but it's still very prevalent sometimes. But what's and before we get on to what then turned a corner for you, what was the sort of impact on your life then, when this was disrupting it, and over what sort of duration?
Yeah, well, just the see, when the physiotherapy, see the physio wasn't working, then then there must be something more serious. So then you have an MRI scan. I found out later on, well, that took a year to get that, and because apparently they said, well, they've sent out an appointment. Well, I never bloody received it, and so I had a really long wait on that. I think it was the best part of a year. Then from the MRI, you went on to see the consultant, the orthopaedic dude, and I had a gut feeling, because they're sort of trigger happy they can be with operations and whatnot. And I had a gut feeling, said, operation ain't the route I want to take down. So I was in this permanent sort of cycle of, tourism around the NHS sort of thing. But I guess I got to a point where I thought, well, and by the way, I was doing a lot of doctor shopping myself. So I was seeing osteopaths, chiropractors. I remember, I recently remembered, I even paid a geezer. Someone told me about this bloke down in Hornchurch. The fact that he was a postmaster should have sort of been a red light, but you get a bit, you just get desperate sort of thing. And someone does like crystal healing, and I paid this geezer 40 quid to wave a crystal around my head, and I thought, oh, Christ almighty, what? I'm looking around and watching this thing and thinking, mate, this guy, this is bloody bonkers, Oh, no, I know. People get desperate,
Oh, mate, I know. Well, part of me, I expected that that'd be a story of how it didn't do out. But if you'd have really thrown the entirety of me podcast and your own work, if you'd have said, and that was best 40 quid I ever spent. What a genius. I haven't been able to find him since, but that guy's a wizard. Crystal healing. It's crystal. One of the things on this then is that crystal healing, and I often use like horoscope and astrology science and stuff. It's the caricature example of nonsense, isn't it? Right. And then you've got robust education and activity advice that is increasingly known to be wise evidence-based science, right? Although, I'm not pretending it's not up for discussion. I'm just meaning that, generally speaking, that's two ends of a spectrum. Obvious nonsense, obvious, decent, legitimate, scientifically supported advice. But it's the in-between that's often the messy part, isn't it? So what other than the real out there nonsense crystal waving and stuff did you experience, and which parts of it were worth a try and weren't especially harmful, damaging, call it what you will, and which bits of it felt like they really did instigate further concern to you, made you have a different sense of your own body, that sort of stuff?
It was, I think with the chiropractors, osteopaths, I guess, especially with the osteopaths, I think they were more, well, I don't want to say, I'm not inferring that other dudes wasn't honest, but, the ones that I did say, they say, look, this ain't working. You need to take other action. But back in the day, then, pain management programs wasn't like well known,
Okay.
Sort of. Some of them were sort of saying, well, I can't do no more. It ain't working. So you're shopping all the time. I call it serial shopping, doctor shopping. You see massage therapists. Because what you want something to. See, I was in that mode of what is someone out there has got to fix me. This problem I got has become a massive problem. Not only I've got all this pain. I'm feeling isolated. I'm feeling down, depressed. People that I used to call round or phone up and all that, they stopped doing that. I would as well, because all I could talk about was bloody back pain.
Right. So it started to be right at the forefront of all your chatter.
Do you ring up boring people? No. You know, do you visit boring people? Well, if they paid me, yeah, well, perhaps I would. But I mean, you know, that's how I become a boring back pain dude, like, you know.
Right.
You know, because that's all I could. That's my life. It's
Hmm.
like life just revolved around the back pain.
And what were the work situation like then around that time?
Well, self-employed. I was teaching, driving instructing, and paint and decorating. I couldn't do the paint and decorating, and I tried carrying on with the teaching, but sitting down and stuff like that was, you know, I couldn't get out of the bloody car sometimes. Like, you know, it was challenging. So in a way, I ended up stopped work. I just stopped working. Like, you know.
Right. And when you were driving instructing and stuff, was it when you were struggling with that? Was it the physical acts of needing to get into certain positions, etc., or did you notice as well that the mood-related changes were affecting your capacity to be personable as an instructor?
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't. You normally stay in the same position all the time, but I mean, one day, I mean, I had this young girl in the car, and she didn't. I don't know whether she didn't fancy stopping at the white lines,
Right.
you know. And so use the dual brake, but when I put my foot down on the brake, the pain shot up my leg, mate, up to me, you know, me butt, like, you know. Christ Almighty, like, you know, I've never had a severe electric shock, but it bloody hell, mate, you know, I thought, shit, what's going on here, you know?
Mm.
So I thought, well, you know, and sitting down, just sitting in that position was giving me more aches and pains as well, like, so. Anyway, I thought, oh shit, I'll just stop working, like, you know, and see, it's you know, this rest thing, isn't it? That's the old story from years ago, isn't it? If you had back pain and whatnot, then the thing to do was to have bed rest, you know.
Right.
So I adapted my life around the back pain. So I sold the tuition car, bought myself a van, little ex post office van, little yellow one it was, and simple reason that that helped me. So if I went out anywhere and my back was bad, at least I could go and lay in the back of the van.
Yeah. Right.
The TV, because I was spending so much on the floor, so much time on the floor, I took the TV from where it was sort of, you know, like 3 feet off the floor. I bought those two L hooks that you put a microwave oven on, and I put those on the wall, and so the TV was actually near the ceiling, like, you know.
Right.
I adapted everything to suit my back problem, like, you know.
Because you were needing to take it easier. You know, you felt like, you know, that might have been towards the answer.
Yeah, well, as I found out, I was actually adding to the problems, like, you know.
Sure. Yeah. And what were the sort of durations then on you being, because you've at the event we were at together yesterday, it's one of the first times that I've seen you put numbers to it. You actually described years off work and then the economic consequence of that with regards to, you know, UK taxpayers and the like. So what are the big hitters on the numbers for that?
Well, so it all kicked off saying back in the '92, and then at sort of '92 went into '93, and then went into the first part of '94. I think I'd see before I used to run support groups years ago anyway for something else, and I thought, perhaps I can learn from other people. So I started up a back pain group in Hornchurch in Essex, South Essex, and I just I mean it was just a little hut, you know. I suppose, you know, it was really for comfortability. Really, I suppose you get about 20 people in there, but I thought I've got to get people along to the event, and I contacted the local newspaper, and they did a press release for me. And the first meeting where I was at the beginning of '94, and like nearly over 40 people turned up.
Yeah.
Yeah, bloody ran, you know. But the thing is, so what I did, I was running like a monthly back pain support group. The thing is, I was still in therapy mode, and all the therapists we would come along to the monthly meetings were therapists where something is going to be done to us, you know. But then I was getting, I don't know, something. I was, you start fishing around. I'm looking around for other things, and someone said to me, I knew this woman up in Norwich, and she went on some program in London called Input. So I tracked her down, and she said, yeah, it's one of the best things I did. So I rang up Input, and I said to them, can someone come along and talk to the group about the program you do? And they said, well, can you pay us? I said, we're a support group, mate. I said, we got pot and pissing, mate. So I said, anyway, I'm going I was pretty pissed off by that, really. I thought, Christ, because here we go again. Healthcare professionals want you to take the shirt off me back,
Yeah, you could have said to him, you couldn't. You could have said, I probably could afford to have paid you if your colleagues hadn't taken all my money over years to wave crystals over me bonds.
So anyway, the person I was in correspondence with, they didn't come down, but they sent someone down called Amanda Williams.
Right.
Now, Amanda Williams, I was odd to know, she was like a big gun in the pain world,
Sure.
I'm still friends with her even today, actually, and it turns out she was like the lead clinical psychologist at the Input program. And she come down, it was pissing down the rain one night on the Thursday night. She come down, I felt sorry for her, but she told the group, and she told me and the group about pacing, about graded exercise, the importance of relaxation, how the program works, and I said to myself, God Almighty, this is right up my street, And you know what? Out of all that, there was that room was rammed that night. There must have been about 30 odd people in that room, 40 odd. Even if it was raining out, it would still come out. And I was the only one out of that group of that night who applied to go on the program. So
why do you think that was then?
Well, because everybody's still doctor shopping, So the thing is, as I said, we was all pretty much still doctor shopping because all the speakers, mainly speakers, would be osteopaths. I think we had a physio at some point. It was therapists where you had to go to see someone and pay them to do something to them,
Yeah, but I suppose what I'm wondering is do you think it was just a timing thing that made it a few pennies drop to you that made you think this is different and it's sufficiently different for me to fancy it compared to the other 40 folk in the room that for some reason that message didn't resonate with them in that point in time? What do you think was the difference?
Do you know what? There's I go, it was a gut feeling. I was coming to see, you keep continuing doing something, you think to yourself, this ain't working. There's got to be something else, and that was why I started up a group, because I was looking around, what is that something else?
Right.
So that by me actually looking for these, someone telling me that there's someone in Norwich, the lady in Norwich was telling me about the Input program. It was all this. It was the searching all the time, that constant searching. Well, there's got to be something out there that I can do. What can I do? How could I be more involved?
Yeah, well, no, that's fascinating. That because you're looking for something to partner up at the very least with people and to be given that sense of control back, which is heartening. I think one of the reasons I asked that question is because I know we're talking 20, 25 years ago now, but when Amanda went out to see you in that support group, I sometimes wonder that part of the reason why sometimes clinicians that feel like that they're ahead of this stuff at any point in history, this perception of it either being a hostile audience or a vacant audience, that therefore, say you were one of 41 and you were the only one that then took the offering that was out there, that is a demoralising thing for people because those people that are there, through no fault of theirs, are swimming in a culture that's constantly saying about them being fixed rather than helping to fix themselves. Yeah. And so that's one of the reasons I ask, is because we need to make sure that we don't continue. I suppose later in this conversation we'll come to how we can avoid making those mistakes in the future? How can we empower future generations of clinicians to not be put off by the fact that they might not have a great hit rate if they go and talk to a local backplane support group or an internet forum in that direction and the like? That was prior to an internet generation. Not quite. I know that it existed, but it certainly wasn't the world that we have now. Was that the in-person equivalent of a Facebook group and the like? Do you think, that group that you had then?
Yeah, I mean, I had no computer skills whatsoever, but I bought a dot matrix. I don't know if you've ever seen one of them. It was because I just wanted something like with a keyboard. I know I've got no technical skills whatsoever, but I knew I had to do a monthly newsletter, so I had to learn how to type and something to print off. Then I'd work out how to do a photocopying machine, all this sort of stuff, like, you know.
Right.
In a way, if I look back now, all that sort of stuff was my grounding for doing what I'm doing now, you know.
Sure, yeah, that was the proper paper and pen version of now what is very digital with your work.
I mean, we drop it's nothing to think about dropping an email, but back in the day, it was either you wrote a letter or you phoned someone up, like, you know.
Sure, of course. What we got to? So we've got up to input then. So talk me through your experience through that. Then you had to apply, did you?
Yeah, I had to. I said to Amanda, I said, how do I get on this? She said, I'll get you a doctor to refer you. Because back in the day, there was funders, as they are now, you know, and the doctor I had, mate, he said, well, I ain't paying for that. Oh, here we go, another frigging speed bump I've got to deal with. So I wrote back, I contacted Input, I said, he won't pay. She said, oh, don't worry. She said, well, we'll get the money, we'll ask the health authority, Barking-Haven Health Authority to see if they'll fund it, which they did. So I got over that speed bump, and then the other speed bump kicked in. Well, when can I start? Well, we have a waiting list, and so I had to wait 18 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
I had 18 months, so I had another 18 months of living with pain, like, you know, in front of me.
Right,
So,
fascinating.
I kept myself busy as much as I could. You know, I had the support group there, sort of keeps you busy, sort of running that. But I was getting skint as well, like, you know, because I'd done all my money on therapy shopping and stuff like that. So I was sort of pretty living now hand to mouth, really. And but the good thing is, anyway, I went to the program in '96, and that was the thing that really turned things around for me. It was an inpatient program, and you went there. You had to go up there on a Sunday afternoon, and then you stayed over, and then the next morning they come and pick you up, and they take you over to where it's new now, that where the program is, but where the room where our program is being run is by the bloody what do they call it, the boiler room or something, you know. So, you know, all we could sniff is bloody diesel fumes all day long, you know. Yeah, really old part of the hospital.
Right.
And there were 24 of us in a group, you know. They split us into two. And but Charles Pyther, who was running the program, he's the medical director. He said something powerful to us on from the very first day. He went round the room and counted up. Asked every one of us, how many years have you had pain? You know, and in the room it was like, I think from memory, it counted up to nearly like 400 years, like, you know. So and then he came out with his statement, which still resonates with me now. He said, look, you've had all this pain all these years. He said, but, and I know a lot of people out there won't believe you, but we do believe you. We believe your pain. And that really stuck with me because, you know, when you've had pain for a long period of time, you think, is it me imagining it? You know, pain is a weird thing, right? It is a physical thing, but it's also, emotional thing. But it plays around with your head, like, you know. It's constant, like, you know, all just nagging away. So, but the program 2 weeks. So you started on the Monday. A funny thing is, they were teaching us pacing right from the get go, because they come and picked us up from the where it was in the block we were in. is where actually the main programme is now, down below. It's right opposite the Houses of Parliament.
Mm.
So they come and picked us up, and they're walking us across through the hospital, and as we're walking, all of a sudden they're stopping. And we're all looking around and thinking, well, right. Now, there's no explanation whatsoever.
Right.
I'm thinking, fucking, what's going on here? Why are we stopping? And then we stop, and then we off we go again. Then we get to another part inside then we stop. And we're just looking around, and anyway, Dave was teaching us pacing.
Right.
See, although for a lot of us that we had a lot longer walking tolerance, but I guess a few there who struggled a bit. But what they was doing was teaching us to stop before you needed to.
Right.
So they were showing us that in a way right from the from the get go that take a break before you think you need to. And then then the program started on the Monday, and then I was throughout the first week they were sort of teaching us the basic stuff. They was finding out how much exercise can we do, how much stretching we could do, and then they would work out a little bit of a plan for us. I found the plan a bit too complicated for me because they worked it out for us, and they said, well, then now you got to work out yourself. And it was like, well, find your baseline and then reduce it by 20%. Mate, I'm from Essex, mate. What's 20% of anything like? Might as well say, what does EMC squared mean like?
You didn't fancy doing the arithmetic, yeah? You just
I just didn't get it. I can't. What's 20% of anything? So
right.
So I was talking to Kathy Price. She's a pain doctor down in Southampton. About a couple of years later, and she said, "Oh, what we don't do that." She said, "We chop everything in half." I'll get that.
Now we're talking.
Yeah, just chop everything in half. So
right.
if you can walk 100 metres and then the pain starts, have a break at 50. Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
Right.
Yeah, that's so it's simplistic, and that's what things could. So a lot of healthcare professionals, I'm not sure if they ain't got it themselves, they don't realise that pain can be a massive distraction on us. It's like someone's tapping on your shoulder all the time.
Right. Okay.
Ain't too bad, but if it's that doing it all the time, it's thinking you can't. It can complicate things. We say us lot. I think we've got the attention span of a flea, sort of thing.
Right.
So we very simple information. But anyway, so we did the Monday through till Thursday, and then they threw us out on the Thursday evening, and then we come back the following Sunday. And we repeated it, and that was a 2-week course. I think they do a longer one now.
Right.
And
there's a few little intervals not intervals, like moments in that seem to have really helped to land the message, which is one of which being believed, the other one giving you practical tools, namely pacing, encouragement to remain active and to know you're not doing yourself any mischief in doing so. Were there any other sort of obvious penny drop moments that you can recall from that program?
Well, you're with a group of people, I like to think we all sort of kept in contact. I think a few of us did over the sort of, I don't know, 6 months or so. But I was surprised, really. A lot of them were still. I remember a couple of people saying, "This ain't really for me."
Right.
Thinking, well, what else is there then? Tell me, what else is going to help you then? But I loved it. To me, it was giving me the, as I call it, the skills and the tools, but it's given me the confidence to get back on track, I know where else to go, my life was going to be crap, if I didn't get my head around this shit, mate, I'm a goner.
Right. I suppose one of the things, again, about timing is that, do you think you needed to have been through that process of shopping and for input? One of my fears is that it ends up working best once it's a last resort. Yeah. And I don't like that. Me and you have long said that we need to integrate strategy earlier, like your adage about first instinct or last resort type stuff, first choice, last resort. I want it to be further up the chain, but some of the success stories, yourself included, I don't know if we can prize it from the timing seems relevant, like compared to some of the people that are on the course with you, that didn't land quite as heavily because maybe they hadn't done enough of the shopping for them to realise that this is closer to the answer.
I think see when you're in a pickle, like it's you're going down a toilet,
Right.
and you think to yourself, well, where am I going with this? And I think people get out the lift that some people need to, for them to start thinking about self-management, they may need to get down to the bottom floor in the lift. Some people might get out the second floor, third floor. It depends what's going on in their life as well, like because I think why is it that what you just brought up is really, really interesting. Why is it some people get it and some people don't get it? But I know people see there's some people there's other agendas going on. When you and your colleagues say, yeah, but when we, as you say, when do we start introducing it? I said it depends what's going. You've got your agenda, but we've got our own agenda. Some people may have an insurance claim going through. Who the hell wants to get well if you're expecting 200k or something,
Right.
coming it's maybe I spoke to people. Yeah, but I don't. Yeah, but if I haven't got this, then no one talks to me. They don't. There's some sort of psychological thing going on there.
Right.
To me, when I talk to people now, I just say to them, well, what's your battle plan for getting better? Like, I think we get into this habit as well. A lot of people we're paying was where when we talk to people, where you want to go tell them the story, and I try and I'm not avoiding it. I just say to people, look, I know where you've been, mate, but I'm really buzzing, mate. Where the hell are you going?
Right.
What's your battle plan?
So yeah, let's go on those things then, because yeah, you do talk about battle plan, and I can so see that you're someone that is so interested and excited and very empathetic about how you can work with people to try and come up with solutions. But you have expressed frustration over the years and recently over the tendency that it all ends up being what you call war stories. Others have worried about these things descending into pity parties and the idea in which that things can become a bit of a competition amongst a round circle of who's in more pain, who's having more suffering and stuff. And so, whilst there's definitely got to be a place for hearing these things out, from what I can gather, unless that turns towards the solution, you get quite frustrated by that style of almost counselling. What is your take on those matters now?
I'll tell you, it's true story. About 3 years ago, I got diagnosed with prostate cancer, and they said there's a support group at the local hospital, So they give me the geezer's name, and his name, yeah. So I went down there. Well, I'll tell you what, mate, no one talked to me, and there's I might as well, honestly, I might as well have been invisible.
Right.
I had. Well, it's over there, and I thought, and then I had a speaker there. He was all right. I think he was talking about, I can't remember what the bloody he was talking about now, but it was interesting. I remember that. But I just thought to myself, do I want to come back here? No, because I need to be. For me, to be a winner, you got to be hanging around the winners.
Right.
These people there, I'd end up supporting them. Where they've got more experience about living with prostate cancer than I have. I was a newbie. I was a rookie.
Okay.
So I need to be with. I said to me, I need to be around people, positive people, who are going to run with me, but not run against me, sort of hold me back, sort of thing. So I think it's like with support groups, and I know back in our day, but the support group I ran, I try to keep it upbeat because. They can get down, and I know from when I'm talking to healthcare professionals over the years, they say they don't send patients to support groups because they come back worse, because it is like a like a war story group sort of thing. You know, they just,
Mm,
yeah, how are you today and stuff like that. You know,
sure.
but there are good groups out there, but it's tracking them down, like you know.
Right. Well, one of the things with that then, Pete, is because I mean, there's nothing I disagree with that. I just know that fundamentally, when we talk about these issues, it becomes controversial. Where sometimes it's perceived that to not allow someone to understand how it's attached itself to their identity, so their circumstances and their pain and the way in which that's influenced their behaviour, is something that the messages you're describing can sometimes be conflated by someone saying, just pull your socks up and sort yourself out, almost like a real bravado to it, as if that's the solution. Like if only they just got over it, shook it off. Which I know that's not what you're saying, but it sometimes gets lumped in. Your positivity and the way that you're trying to be solution focused is sometimes lumped in with a pull your socks up,
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
overthink it type approach. Now, how do you deal with that conflation or accusation?
Look, as I've learned over the years, there's it's why is the pain increased because of social things? Perhaps they've got a really crap job. They've got a really crap relationship. Where they're living is poor housing, social and so other things going on,
Yeah,
which will rack up the pain line. So I know as healthcare professionals, you're thinking, why? Well, we're looking at how can we reduce this pain, but sometimes it's about what it's about going beyond the pain and saying, is there anything else that we can work on that can wind the pain down a bit more? So I know it sounds a bit, but I'm not done with what become social workers, but it's if they need any help and support in getting better housing, a better job. Have you ever thought about changing your job to something that's going to be less demanding or something like that? You know, do you need any help writing out a CV? So it's like a package. I know you guys, you are physios and healthcare. You're trained in right. Well, this is how the body works, and this what
mm.
when it's to do that. But when you've got long-term pain, it kicks off. Have you ever seen my slide with the pain is only tip of the iceberg?
Yeah, yeah,
It's because see, there's bigger problems start to emerge below the waterline,
right.
which is where the majority of the iceberg is. And what I've learned is that if you deal with that stuff, that crap, that winds the pain down. So there may be they're below the waterline, the bigger like sleep problems, money worries, relationship stuff going on and whatnot. And sometimes I'm not it's not become a marriage guidance or relationship therapist, but these all add, they rack up the pain itself.
So
So there's
how do we differentiate, or can we differentiate, or is it even wise to try and differentiate between what is underneath at the bulk of that iceberg and then what? So when people articulate those things, surely if that is repeated, then that becomes what you're describing as a war story, doesn't it?
yeah,
So how do we? Where's the balance?
I'll just ask people what's going on in your life that's holding you back, and then
Right.
see I don't go into the can of worms. I'm not experienced enough to. I call it you can get into I call it the can of worms. Like I'm not. You need that. Some people may need some really professional guidance in that area. Like
Sure.
but you can see that you can see they're making good progress. But there's something holding them back. And I say, what's going on in your life that it may be holding you back? And so, well, have you considered seeing someone about that? We got money worries. Have you thought about seeing a Citizens Advice Bureau? Perhaps they could work out money plan for you.
Right. So you're always thinking in terms of those, by even using the language like holding your back, you're already thinking about the fact that they're aspiring towards a solution and trying to unlock those things that are restricting them.
I mean, what's holding you back from being a millionaire?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, plenty of things, mate. Absolutely.
So
Well,
we'll our own,
first one being um, channel it best part of my business into a non-profit. How's that? That'd probably do it, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So the thing is, it's like we're all walking around with sort of anchors, where something, the fear factor, what's in it for staying stuck? What's in it for you?
Yeah, there's a fascinating thing in it where people there's this abstract thing called potential that we're all sort of aspiring to, and we all kind of know when we're not achieving it, but it's just difficult sometimes to unlock it. So it's a really interesting thing, and it's a fine line between making sure a fine line to make sure that we don't overburden people in thinking that they're being dismissed, but also recognise that these things do need to be a partnership. And it does need to, to some degree, we do need to persuade people to participate in a process of getting themselves better without them feeling like it's all on them, but also recognising that if they were to be dragged up or passively treated in this direction, we've already talked at length about the consequences of that, which is a big challenge. And collaboration is the key one. You've had to team up with many people over the years then as a patient advocate. What have been the things that have worked well and not worked well in a partnership level between Pete Moore Pain Toolkit and others? And so we can talk about some of the pros and cons of that as well.
It's been a fascinating journey, really. The Pain Toolkit. Do you want me to talk about it a little bit more?
Yeah,
about
go for it. Yeah, give the listeners a clue if they've not heard of it.
Before I move on to that, we're talking just wrapping up the last bit.
Yeah, go on.
There's I saw this quote many years ago from this woman called Sarah Henderson, an Australian lady. She was a sheep farmer in Australia. And she said, the quote was, "Don't wait for the light to appear at the end of the tunnel. Stride down there and light the bloody thing yourself." And I say to people, what's going to make you stride down that tunnel and strike that light,
Yeah.
So,
No,
but
well,
the Pain Toolkit, that sort of just that. I see, like most things, it just come out of the blue, really. I was writing by now, with me work and whatnot, I was getting, I don't know, sounds a bit, don't sound a bit poncy, but someone recommended me to go to Germany. There was a German pharma company over there who were getting into education, and they was writing developing a website for pain doctors. And one bloke, when I went over there, he said, "We're always talking about we're doing this to the patient and everything, but we've never actually heard from the patient." So he said, "Can you write a chapter for the website called Managing Pain from the Patient's Perspective, And now listen, Jack, I'm not an academic one iota, mate. I mean, some of what's how I'm writing these days, I'm missing words out here and there and everywhere, So, big fact, I've got to write. Yeah, I'll give it a go. So, but as I was sort of coming up, writing down things and everything, I sort of went back to paint and decorating days where I used to walk around. If you're going to somewhere, paint someone's house, you walk around like the toolkit of some, like brushes, scrapers, whatever, bits and bobs that you need to, painting people's rollers and whatnot. And I thought, people with pain, we need a toolkit of skills ourselves. So I thought to myself, well, perhaps we need some. What tools do we need? So I just started putting some tools together, and I showed them to people, showed them to healthcare professionals, other people with pain. And said, yeah, well, don't forget to put that in and all that. Anyway, long story short, we got up to about 12 tools, and I thought, yeah, well, like any toolkit, you don't want to make it too heavy, and just kept it to there really. So I just I just put it. I just kept putting, adding bits to it and whatnot. And but the problem I have, like most things, is having the energy. How do I get this information out? And I didn't have the financial resources to print loads off or anything like that. And the NHS was, as usual, in the same old story, their skin. So anyway, I was lucky enough. By then, I started working in the NHS. I was working as a trainer in the expert patients program. And I was over at this Strategic Health Authority meeting over in Cambridge. I met this really nice lady over there called Angela Hawley, and I said to her, she was there, she used to run the long-term conditions team up at the Department of Health. And but I don't know, I just took a chance and I just went up to her and I said, look, I've written this book, thing. Yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah, it's really good. I said, how can we get hold of it? I said, we can't. I said, I haven't got the resources. Bloody, send it over to us and we'll print it off for you. So she said, how many do you need? I said, I don't know. I thought 5,000, that'd keep me going for a year. Anyway, in the first year, because it's all free and everything, they printed off 100,000.
Wow.
And then the next year, they did another 100,000. It was really getting, healthcare professionals found it really useful because what it did, it started, they was like for healthcare professionals, when do I start talking to people about self-management? They didn't have a tool to help them start off that conversation.
Yeah.
And in fact, it was written by a patient as well,
Well, I think that I didn't realise that it had emerged from a metaphor from you trying to just write something down. So you'd thought, right, well, how am I going to tackle this? And you came up with that as a metaphor for what made sense for you as a tradesman, which naturally does sort of run through our culture. It's like you don't have to be a tradesman to comprehend a toolkit and the need for skills that can then be understood. And so I didn't realise it had emerged from that because that's certainly fab. And it also then cemented your reputation as the pain self-management guy, and also that became something where you were then interested in making sure it wasn't a last resort, and it became sort of a first line integrated process that people kind of were giving that advice early doors.
Yeah, so it's just sort of it's all been it's still, it's funny, you feel like it's the toolkit's on a journey. It's like it's like, I know, it sounds a bit bonkers saying, but it's like giving, obviously a man, I can't give birth, but it was like giving birth to a child,
Right.
It's interesting to see how the child is sort of going through its sort of screaming stages and
Sure.
growing up and I think at the moment I don't know where it is really in year child wise. I think it's probably come out being a teenager really, because it's been metaphoring, if that's the right word. I mean,
Right.
there is still the hard copy, but it's grown into other things where it was developed into different languages.
Yeah.
So
Been translated, hasn't it?
translated, like the German, the pharma company in Germany, they got different branches in different countries, and then all their teams started to find out about this, and they started to translate it. I mean, all the translations. I've got to give a shout out to my mate, Dr. Reinhard Sittel from Germany, because I bumped into him by chance. So just all these things all happened, Jack. You know what I mean?
Right.
I was over there at a meeting because the Germans wanted me to write another program, come up with another idea for a program, and I did. I was come up with one, managing your pain one day at a time. And Reinhard, they brought Reinhard in to listen to it because he was running a pain management program in London near Nuremberg, and he didn't really get it, But the thing is, what connected me and him together was football.
Right.
Because he was a football coach. That's what paid it. That's what he by being a football coach, that paid him to become a pain doctor,
Right.
But he liked it, then he liked the idea of the toolkit. He's got his daughter to translate to German, and then he's made
from there.
Yeah. So anyway, long story short, it's sort of gone into different languages now. There's people saying, well, yeah, but about young people, and I said, yeah, okay. So I did a little version for my pain toolkit. And there's I'm working with Dennis, who you met yesterday, Dennis Martin.
Yeah.
Up side where we're now going to develop a virtual reality paint like a virtual reality paint toolkit app. And the difference between that, Jack, is I mean I'm only just getting into sort of what virtual reality is, but I see it as it could be, or it could be, can be the thing that connects. Is the thing is, it's like whereas the booklet is okay for people my age or perhaps a little bit younger, but it's about how do we get that message out to the young people like yourself, is if they get pain somewhere in their life, is how do we engage with them, like, you know.
Right.
So I think our responsibility, like mine and yours, is how do we develop materials, learning materials, in a format that will engage people.
Yeah.
Because look, I live in North Essex, right?
Yeah.
If I give my paint toolkit booklet to some dude down in South Essex, they'll try and roll it up and smoke it. I mean, it ain't going to do it. It ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
So I'm always looking at how do we listen. Is pain management sexy? No effing way. It's dull as dishwater, mate. But I try to juice it up, like, you know. I try and make it exciting that people, you know, when they get into pain. Yeah, I think I can do this. Yeah, that sounds interesting. It's about getting on their wavelength.
Yeah.
Make use that. That's why on the paint on the website we've got the game, we've got the quiz. We're going to have the VR. Hopefully, we get the money from Wonga to do the VR thing and whatnot. But I'm always looking for ways on how do we grab someone's attention, because do you know what, Jack? It's what happens is we get turned off. You know, from the get go, like what I did back in the day. You see the GP, they take you out the driving seat, throw you in the passenger seat, and you learn nothing. You get switched off. It's our job, your job, my job. How do we get them interested? You know, they've gone from can-do people to becoming can't-do people.
Right.
How do we get their confidence back to start having a go?
And when, over the years, you've had such a mixed bag of experiences that working with different groups, so you've described some of the real successes there, and that's fantastic. Could you give insight to some of the opportunities that haven't come off? I know there's times where we've spoken, I doubt you'd mind me saying, where you've been pissed off, where you felt you've been taken for granted a little bit. So I want to try and work out and make sure that as an industry, we come to recognise where we've let you down, where we've miscommunicated, that sort of stuff, so that we can think what have been the successes in partnership and what have been the failures of partnership.
Yeah, I mean, I think the disappointments really are your speed bumps, like, you know.
Right.
But funny enough, when I was in the NHS, I won an award for resilience. You know, but one of my jobs in the NHS was when I first started with the expert patients program. I was a trainer for Essex, but then we got taken over by another load of turnips, like, and we become like a community interest company.
Right.
And my trainer job went, and I was made a manager, business manager. So my job's to go out and sell the courses, like, you know, to the commissioners.
Right.
Well, I'll tell you what's wonder I've got a nose left, like, because the doors you have slammed in your face.
Right.
Yeah,
Sure.
it was witness, mate. It was.
Right. Yeah.
But for some reason, you get blocked, but then you work away, you know. And I suppose the formula I learned in the end was that you start at the top and you work your way down. So what I did was I didn't go to the commissioners. I started with the chief execs, because then you get them on board. Then it filters down to the commissioners. So that's how it worked then, anyway. Yeah. So yeah, I get pissed off. I mean, I'm only human, but you know, you got to pick yourself up and get going again, like, you know.
Yeah, like you say, speed bumps, but still on the same road. So no, fair play. I'm glad to hear that. Let's talk about. Go on, sorry, mate.
I think, listen, you're going to come across people who are you see them as blockers, like, you know. And I just think sometimes you just got to suck it up. You know, I just think like, well, they are where they are, right? And I mean, I was talking to, I hate to say, I was talking to some people there yesterday, and I was saying to them, well, suggesting uh, go commissioner types, you know. And I was suggesting about well, how you start, and they might as well shove their fingers in their ears, you know.
Mm.
You know, they just what they ain't that. You know, you think to yourself, well, as a committee, you're looking for opportunities on how they can think about doing things in a better way.
Yep.
And you just got to think to yourself, mate, I've sowed a seed. Here's my card. If you're interested, you want to learn more, here I am. I haven't got the energy now, especially becoming an older dude now. I just ain't got the energy to dick around like, you know. And I just say, do you want to fucking get going or not?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I see what you mean. I think that's the patience that we all need to have. Where do you? What I want to ask you where you think we're at the moment, because there's sometimes like I think we're both dispositionally sort of optimistic folk, but what do you think sometimes? I wonder what your take is when I admit that I'm sort of feeling like we're in a better spot than we were a couple of years ago with a few different things. You mentioned IASP yesterday, for example. Patient engagement is on the agenda. Trying to integrate truly lived experience, understanding multifaceted aspects of pain. It feels like we're talking about that more than we were even a couple of years ago. Or am I being a bit naive?
No, things are rolling over a bit. I think, as we said before we kicked off, it is like, to compare to where it was like 20 odd years ago, mate,
Yeah.
Where it was Captain Kirk stuff, like, it's really fun. But the thing is, so the things we've got to remember, we're not in a race, we're in a marathon.
Sure.
And it's going to, there's no finishing line.
Okay.
The thing is, the things to change really, to move things on. See, I'll tell you what, I had a light bulb moment about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Because one of the things is like, when you was in physio school, you was learning how the arms work and legs work and muscles and all the other bits and bobs work and whatnot. But what I've learned from healthcare professionals is their knowledge. They was never taught about self-management, communication skills and stuff like it. Or if they were, it was very, head hot. How much training was? I remember Bart Mullion, the ex-president of the European Pain Federation, he put out the other day, a vet receives more training in pain management than a GP.
Really?
What the hell's that? What's that all about? And it's still going on now. So I'm saying to myself, why aren't these teachers why aren't they teaching pain self-management in the medical schools, the physio schools, all the healthcare professional schools? And then a light bulb might go, well, perhaps those who are teaching it don't bloody know.
They don't get it. Yeah,
for
sure.
They don't know themselves. How can they teach something that they don't understand or perhaps not understand? How much they don't know how to? They don't know self-management as much as they should do.
Totally with you. When we met, and obviously I'm going to remember this more than you do because I was the bright-eyed, bushy-tailed guy with my autograph book out, right? But I asked you, I said, what's the number one thing? If I had to force you to say one thing, Pete, what's the thing that's holding us back most, even now? And this is a few years ago. And you said, it's the biomedical model, Jax. Just don't underestimate. That's at the heart of it. And I mean, feel free to challenge your own instincts there, but it really did land because I then pushed back to you immediately and said, well, I see what you mean, but there's an argument that we're getting carried away on a theme with biopsychosocial model, that there's a suggestion that we're actually moving away from biomedical models old hat. And you were just shaking your head as I was asking that question. I remember you just there, like looking at me with a frown, saying, "Nope, don't underestimate it. We've still got to fight that fight." Do you stand by that?
I think what's holding you guys back is yourselves,
right?
Because I think sometimes you analyse something. I saw something. I put out something on Twitter last weekend where. I was watching conversations with, between healthcare professionals, and it prompted me to do a tweet. It said, you argue amongst yourselves. It reminds me of two fleas arguing who owns a dog. and you're constantly. I think it's great to have that conversation, but it's just too much. You're analysing too much, you know.
Got to get on with it.
You're navel gazing, you know. And the thing is, it's that while you're doing all that other stuff, it can only. I mean, I think, well, we're doing research into pain, and I think, well, I mean, it can't. How much more can you do about pain, sort of thing, you know? Why are we moving on about self-management? Why?
Yeah.
I don't see. I think that's my battle. My battle is why it just feels well. I mean, I'll tell you what. I vote to. You know, they've got a general election coming out, you know, very soon, and they're all spouting off about, well, we're doing this in health and all this shit, like, and now we're going to get 50,000 nurses, and because we've got an older generation now, we're going to need this and need that, and they're talking about. But I wrote to all of the three health secretaries, like, so the Conservative one, Matt Hancock, the other kid, the Jonathan, I can't think of his other name.
Ashworth.
Jonathan Ashworth, and the lady from Lib Dems. Mm-hmm. I said, what's in your manifesto? What's going to be in your battle plans for dealing with our 28 million people we're paying? I know I wasn't going to get a reply, and I haven't. But the thing is, they keep saying they're medically focused. Right. They are the decision makers. They tell the Department of Health, this is where we're going. The Department of Health put those instructions into some sort of order and farms it down, sends it down to the NHS. But if there's people at the top, I still don't get it. Their penny hasn't dropped. That they need to be moving towards more. What can the patient do for themselves? You know, we're pretty. You know, it's not about going backwards, but we're stopped still.
Do some people have? And I don't know how often you encounter this, but sometimes I do, where folk have an issue with the term self-management because they associate it with just the assumption that someone has to cope, and then they say, "I don't want to self-manage my pain; I want to solve it." And the suggestion of self-managing it means that I've got to suck it up. You know, I kind of come back to what I said earlier. Do you encounter that argument? And if so, what do you suggest to that?
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, that's what I brought up yesterday at the meeting there. We all use self-management, but it's not a familiar term to the dudes in the street. Right. I proved this a few years ago. I was at a British Pain Society conference up in Liverpool. And I was talking to one of the doctors there, and I was saying, look, all the language you were using, I said, you know, like self-management, I said, it don't really mean anything to the patients. And there was one of the, you know, them security dudes you get at the conferences, you know, I don't know, like
bouncers.
Like yeah, bouncers, yeah.
Do you have your own private security detail? Is this what you're telling me now? You go to these events with your bouncers in tow?
Yeah, she was like standing by the lift or whatever, or the And I said to him, I've been talking to him a bit earlier about football and whatnot. Right. I said, here, mate, come over here. I said, look, can I just ask you something? I said, so if I said you got back pain and I told you the best thing for you to do is that you got to self-manage it, what would you do? He said, I'll go and see the GP.
Right.
He sees it, go and see the GP, will sort my problem. That was self-management.
Sure.
He wouldn't. And then you got the other part of the spectrum, like my mate Ed from the gym. And I always ask people at the gym, I said, why do you come down the gym? And I was talking to Ed years ago, same age as me. I said, Ed, why do you come to the gym? He said, I started getting a bit of back pain. I thought I'd better start doing some exercise. I said, man, you're fucking weird. He says, what do you mean by that? I said, you're fucking weird, mate. I said, if you had back pain, most people would take themselves off to the GP light, you know. He said, but you're weird in the respect that you thought, well, I felt my back feels a bit weird, so I need to exercise. And people just don't do that, you know.
So his instincts were in a healthy direction compared to most, certainly. Like, I agree.
But the majority of people, I've got an issue. Jack, whereabouts when you was a kid, like, when you become ill, you know, mum and dad, right? Oh, Jack's not feeling. We're taking. Whereabouts did they take you? To the GP?
I suppose, yeah, but
So that's what tends to happen with the population. So what happens? So we learn from a small age that when something goes wrong with our body, we become unwell in some sort of manner. We go to the GP because we've learned as a small kid the doctor would give you some medicine, rub something on your skin or whatever, and within days you'll be about out there playing with your mates again. So we learn this from a small age that when something goes wrong with your body, you take it to this doctor who's got something stethoscope hanging around their neck and whatnot. They're going to give you something, do something to you, do some sort of treatment procedure, and then hey ho, off you go back to whatever you was doing. The thing is, when you get pain, you've gone to see the GP. I've taken the medicine, and I'm still feeling like shit.
right.
You know, and you're thinking, well, why? And you get confused. Well, I've done all whatever he's told me or she's told me, and but I'm still getting pain.
But as a society, you're suggesting that we've sort of conditioned ourselves to associate medicine and medical professionals in that way, where we defer our thinking and our responsibility to them because we're so used to it and we've grown up in that culture. Is that what you mean? Now, one of the things I wondered on then, because I can so follow that logic, and I think fundamentally I think I agree with it. But I also know that one of the reasons we've ended up doing that as a society is we moved in that direction to the sort of medicine men that we trust with that expertise to move away from sort of mother knows best, old wives' tales type thinking, where it was like there's like a dogma or a sort of a trick that was sort of nonsense that we then decided to try and become more medically scientific. Now, I totally agree that the current model of passiveness is got its downside, and you've described it really well there. But I suppose the reason people might be a bit twitchy to go back is they think that they might end up going, if self-management ended up being read your horoscope and take some cod liver oil for a rash that you've got, then that ends up being a downside, doesn't it?
So the thing is, yeah, because it's not as. See, that's why yesterday, and I'll say it now on the podcast. See, people are self-managing every day, but they don't call it self-management.
Right.
So I'll take it. You brush your teeth this morning.
Yeah. You not smell my breath over Skype?
It's like this dude. So why did you brush your teeth then, Jack?
To keep my breath fresh, to keep my teeth clean, and to stay away from dentist.
That's the one, mate. We all brush our gnashes because the last thing we want to do is end up in a frigging dentist chair and someone got a knee on your chest like and having a drill away, like, you know. Because you know, I will associate, you know, dentists with pain, like, you know.
Sure.
So the thing is, we brush our gnashes every day, twice a day, hopefully, so we don't have to go and see the dentist as much as we could do.
Yeah.
But in a way, we're self-managing. The same thing with me, how I self-manage my pain is from what I'm still doing, what I did back from the pain management program, where I'm stretching, exercising every day, I'm pacing myself, I have my chill out time and stuff like that. I'm looking up. That to me is self-management.
Sure.
But it's a tricky term. What else you want to call it? Someone was talking about this on Twitter last weekend. Well, what else do you call it? You know, some people don't like calling it management. What I started to do, you know, my hashtag now, where I used to have like hashtag pain toolkit, but now I've reduced pain into a lowercase and toolkit big. And since last weekend, I've now got, instead of having pain management, there is pain management, but pain is lowercase and management is uppercase.
Right.
So the emphasis is on management.
Well, I think that was a real powerful moment yesterday, and I've heard that in your recent work and following you and interacting on Twitter. Obviously, me and you have back and forth about football as much as we do work stuff. But one of the things with that is I've noticed that reframing is relevant, isn't it? Where what someone calls self-management is sort of medicalising what others might call life, and just and just adapting in a basic sense. Like people are self-managing various different circumstances in their life, be that pain or otherwise, and we've just ended up sometimes coining a term that suits it, whereas you're describing various different things that any human will be doing at any given time, but they're not realizing that they're managing a circumstance.
Look, for me, sins at the moment, I'm a gooner, right? So,
I know. I mean, as a United fan, I certainly am not in a position to laugh, but yeah, funny day for that as well, isn't it?
I'd rather be in your position where we are. But thing is, they sacked our manager today.
Absolutely.
Now, and the thing is, we're paying management. It's not about just me. It's about me and my team around me.
Yeah.
Right. So, like, to keep me healthy, I have to have who's going to be in my team. Okay. Now, I've nothing personal against GPs, but I tell you, if I've got a problem, I'll go and see the nurse.
Right.
And at the go and see Nurse Teresa, like, because she's pretty grounded.
Right.
And she said, "Oh, yeah, I'll be all right. Come on, Pete, off you go. You'll be all right. I'll try." Yeah. So anything like that, she was like a prescribing nurse.
Right.
So she is in my team.
Okay.
In my team. Now the thing is, so I'll tell you what, I'm going to another name check. Melissa Cady, she's a doctor I know over in Texas.
Right.
And she says you need to be your own CEO, your own chief executive of your health and of yourself, really.
Right.
Me, it's about who do I have involved around me to have a more productive life and everything. Now, the thing is, why did they get rid of Emery this morning? Because he lost the plot. And the thing is, I would do the same thing if I had someone in my team, my immediate surrounding team, who wasn't, doing the business or whatever. I'd transfer them out and bring someone else in. And this is what I say to people with pain is that who have you got in your team, your support team, who's going to keep you on track? Right. But like every football manager, let's talk about the players now. You may get some players who might be getting a bit old. Perhaps they've lost their touch, or they're going through perhaps they don't suit your style of play or living. So what we do, like we're coming up to a transfer window in January, they'll be tweaking their teams. Who do we need to ship out? Who do we need to bring in so that we can have a better team around us? And I think the same thing. So we just do. I haven't got the same people around me now in the pain management lane than I did 10 years ago, 12, 15, whatever, like.
Of course.
Because you get people moving around. Now, I was saying myself on the train on the way home, why has Jack come into my orbit again?
Sure.
Now, so you think to yourself, well, I don't know. Perhaps we need to do some more collaborative work or something. I don't know. But I try. The other Jack tried to set me up with this interview the other day, but I blew him off like because I thought I've had enough of talking. Like I just want to give me gums a break,
I know. I roped you in. Seeing you in person helped me to rope you into this chat today, but.
Felt guilty. I said to you yesterday, I felt guilty, like, but see, to me, that's life, So what's happened? So why have I been put in that situation where I'm talking to you the next day, sort of thing, So now something is why is he? Like we cross into each other's orbits,
yeah.
So why is Jack coming into my orbit out of the blue?
I hang about like a bad smell. I think that's why. But in this instance, no. I think that we have these interlinking paths, or like you're calling it, an orbit, is because fundamentally we're centered around a similar thing. So we're bound to cross because we're driving towards such similar goals. And I think we intermittently come to notice that. Now, obviously, we've been supporting each other, and I think there's several things that we can continue to do together. I want to talk a little bit about some of the things you've got on. Obviously, our listeners are very aware of all the bits and pieces I've been on with MSK reform and what has emerged from the big R's and stuff. But I generally wondered if you could just say for a bit to help us wrap up as to what things you're involved in at the moment. What projects are you on with?
Well, I've always been. I'm always about how do we increase the capacity. How do we get the messages out there? So I'm always looking for opportunities to do that. And I suppose the stuff I do, where I go to Austria 3 times a year now, and I speak at the in January, February. There's the Austrian Pain School, where all the new doctors come in.
Yeah.
They sort of get exposed to a bit of self-management. And then in September, when I go out there again, is the European Pain Federation, where they have their school.
Yeah.
And I go and teach there as well.
Yeah.
The other things of, I think, with your 3 R's and all that, getting people into a venue, the organisation is crazy. So what I've been, funny enough, to talk about what struck me getting on to doing more online stuff. I was talking to another German doctor, Stefan Schnuck. He's a German doctor, but he works out lives in Australia. And I said to him a couple of years ago when I was at this pain school in Austria, I said to him, "How do you deal with all your patients out there in the bush, like, you know?" He said, "Oh, we do everything online."
Right.
Now I knew about online stuff, but I wasn't quite sure. So I did a little bit of research and whatnot. And gradually over the last 2 years now, I've been pushing to do more online stuff. And that young Swedish girl's really sort of tipped it over the edge, thinking I've got to push it even more.
Right.
I can't think of her name. What's her name? Something Berg, is it? I can't remember now. What's the young girl who's the Swedish who pushing like green issues and stuff?
Greta Thunberg.
That's it, Greta Thunberg. Yeah. And to me, I just really I try to do more stuff online now. So all the Pain Toolkit workshops now for patients and healthcare professionals. I've started up a Pain Toolkit cafe, which is once a month. People with pain and healthcare professionals, they all just drop in just for an hour, and we talk about all different things, stuff like we use a program called Zoom. It's pretty similar to Skype.
It's decent.
And we've run 3 of those now, and they're going. Even with getting people now from overseas. So we've had the last one. We had someone from America, a couple, a lady called Mary Wing. She runs a support group out in Australia. Right. Her partner, a friend there, Anita, she was with us. So there was an Australian connection, Americans kicking in, and also. Last year, one of the problems with me with the European Pain Federation, they had their congress in Seville, and I was working out the monies to get there, and I thought, do I spend my educational budget on going to there for 2 days, 3 days, or do I spend it on something else, like, which will be longer lasting? And I sort of started to think, well, there's got to be other people out there who, like me, can't get to these sort of congresses for one thing or another, maybe distance, the cost of it or whatever. So in January I'm doing the first, hopefully to do some more, a mini pain management conference online.
Right.
And we've got 50 healthcare professionals. And part of my remit, being involved with the IASP patient group, one of our remits is to spread the word out to countries that don't have access to pain management. Right. And just it seems that a lot of people from Asia are going to be part of that conference, like, right. They seem to like it. Now I thought when I put it on this the Eventbrite site to do it, I thought it's all free, by the way. I thought, that would be a slow burner. Within a day and a half, mate, it's all booked up.
Really nice.
So I've got 4 speakers. One physio, one OT, a psychologist, and Keith Meldrum, it's a patient. Yeah. So hopefully, if that works out all right, we'll do more of those.
Do more of them, yeah. Happy days. Well, that's loads of digital stuff, but you're also doing some stuff in person, aren't you, with this pain revolution? I was hearing about that yesterday. I'd heard on the grapevine, but you've been helping to construct this pain service in Lincolnshire, which is quite novel.
I'm not so much in I mean, I'm not. I know what they call it. They're not calling it the pain revolution. They're calling it something else, aren't they? Pain. It's. I can't, what was it called again?
Well, it was inspired by that pain revolution in Australia, wasn't it? And then,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I know Lorimer anyway. And when I was over in Australia the other year,
yeah,
I said they was doing they was launching their bike ride from the
yeah,
conference,
yeah, yeah.
and we had a chat and everything about it. He's telling me what they're actually doing. What they're doing is fantastic because it's all community based,
Yeah.
and they're going out, but they're doing educational events not only for patients but also healthcare professionals. So, because it's not about well, if we train the patients up, then we'll have an easier ride. The thing is, the healthcare professionals need some extra training as well.
Yeah, for
So,
sure. So how have you been? So what have you
so
been doing to bring that to our shores?
well, yeah, well, I'm not so much I mean, I'm doing the first of the events in a Monday week, but I'm not really, I'm just a compere.
All right.
So I think I can sort of say bits and bobs, but they're bringing some speakers and stuff like that. But I've never done comparing before,
I was
so
going to say, you Ant or Deck? You have to work it out, wouldn't
we both.
you? Ant and Deck. Yeah, no, that's great, mate. I mean, thanks for all your hard work. Really appreciate it. How do people find out more about you and find how to access you if they've got any questions and stuff?
So go to the website www.paintoolkit.org and just go to the contact page there. We've got a new Scott, my web guru. He's beavering away at the moment doing a new website, so it's going to be more visual. We've thrown a lot more, bought a lot of videos from Adobe stock recently, so a lot more moving around business, like people stretching and stuff.
Nice.
So it's a bit more visual, more content. Um,
And you're on social media? What are your
yeah,
accounts?
social media, Twitter is Paint Toolkit 2. On Facebook, where it's www.facebook.com/Paint Toolkit.
Cool.
So, but it's around. But just to come and say hello. If you like what you've heard today, if you think what I've been talking about, a lot of old twaddle, mate, then let me know as well.
And I'm sure we'll speak again soon, mate.
All right, take care.
All the best, buddy. Ciao.
Bye.